At Lucas's company's anniversary party, he received an unexpected surprise when he encountered an old schoolmate, Sarah. Known for her arrogance, Sarah seized the opportunity to mock him for being a factory worker. "Stay away from us, okay? My husband is a Harvard-educated director, far above someone insignificant and incompetent like you," she said, relishing the insult. Her words brought back painful memories of high school when Sarah used to bully Lucas for being poor. Lucas felt as though he had reached the end of his patience. "Well, your husband will be unemployed starting tomorrow," he replied. Sarah, surprised by Lucas's unexpected words, initially laughed, thinking it was a joke. However, she and her husband would soon understand the true meaning of his words. Lucas, now 35, met his wife Anna at work. They married and are celebrating their 10th wedding anniversary this year. They have never had a serious argument. Anna is a kind and family-oriented person. Lucas has always been grateful for Anna's unwavering support, and they have lived a peaceful life together. On the day of the party, Lucas donned a suit for the company's major anniversary event, which he was eagerly anticipating. Anna chose the tie and got ready to leave. She had styled her hair beautifully in the morning and wore a light-colored dress. "How do I look?" Anna asked. "You look incredibly beautiful," Lucas replied, charmed by his wife's elegant appearance. With Anna by his side, they headed to the event location. The venue they rented was quite spacious, and as they approached, they saw more people heading in the same direction. It was typical for a large corporation's anniversary party to attract so many guests. "There must be hundreds of people invited," Lucas said as they exchanged words and entered the venue, anticipating the start of the event. Inside the hall, many people had already gathered, exchanging greetings and introductions. Company events are somewhat of an opportunity for promotion, so the more ambitious employees were eager to network. While Lucas was greeting the guests, he was unexpectedly approached. "Is that you, Lucas?" a familiar voice called out. Standing right in front of him was Sarah, his former schoolmate. She looked at him with a smirk. Sarah, the beauty and center of attention since childhood, had retained her looks even after nearly 20 years since high school, but now her beauty seemed to have faded somewhat as she looked at him with disdain. "It's been a while, hasn't it, Lucas? What are you up to now? Everyone is..." "Since you never show up at meetings," Sarah said with a sarcastic tone. Back in high school, Lucas wasn't exactly popular, but Sarah, seemingly oblivious to this, continued with a cheerful laugh. "I got married 5 years ago. My husband is an elite employee who was in charge of an overseas branch until recently, and today he's being recognized as an exceptional employee." "Congratulations," Lucas responded, surprised to learn that Sarah's husband worked at the same company. He offered his congratulations, but for some reason, Sarah became irritated. "There's no need for your congratulations. What kind of job do you have at the company?" she asked disdainfully. Before Lucas could explain, Sarah waved her hand dismissively. "It doesn't matter. You probably work for some subcontracted factory, being just a high school graduate and all." "Yes, I work in a factory," Lucas started to explain again, but Sarah had already turned away, losing interest. "A factory worker like you shouldn't even be here. Just stay quiet in the corner and don't embarrass yourself," she said, moving towards a man Lucas assumed was her husband, Marcos. As Lucas considered Sarah's attitude petty, he recalled how she used to mock him in high school for being a high school graduate. However, to be precise, this wasn't entirely accurate. When Lucas was in high school, his mother fell seriously ill and his father lost his job due to the recession. From that point on, Lucas's life changed drastically. His father, once a diligent employee, began to drink to escape the harsh reality. Soon they ran out of money and had to sell their house, moving into a small one-bedroom apartment. As a high school student, Lucas had grown, But he couldn't afford new uniforms or sports equipment, so he had to make do with hand-me-downs from relatives. This made him a target for ridicule among his classmates. Sarah, beautiful and bossy, was the leader of the bullying group, instructing everyone in the class to avoid talking to Lucas. She was the popular girl, and no one dared to challenge her, so her bullying continued until graduation. On graduation day, Sarah approached Lucas with a sarcastic smile and asked, "Which school are you going to? It would be good if you could get a used uniform." Annoyed by her persistent taunts, Lucas replied, "I won't need a uniform. I'm not going to high school. I'll be working after finishing middle school." Sarah laughed loudly. "I can't believe you don't even have money to attend high school. Well, do your best, you poor middle school graduate." Lucas left without responding. What Lucas told Sarah wasn't entirely true, but it wasn't completely false either. He attended night school while working during the day. His father remained deep in alcoholism, and his mother, who did manual work, was frequently in and out of the hospital. As a result, Lucas had no one to rely on. After graduating from middle school, he desperately sought a job, but few companies were willing to hire someone with only a middle school education. The only company that hired him was the machinery factory where he still worked. Lucas had always loved working with machines, so he dedicated himself to the job. He worked during the day and attended school at night. Balancing work and study was challenging, but he managed it with the encouragement of older colleagues who taught him the job and even occasionally treated him to lunch as if he were their own child. Years went by, and while Lucas worked with the support of everyone around him, he eventually graduated from high school. He planned to continue working at the factory, but his senior colleagues had other advice. "Now that you've graduated from high school, try to study as much as you can," they suggested, talking about scholarship programs and direct support from the company for employees. Surprised and grateful for their concern, Lucas decided to pursue further. For college, Lucas chose a course related to the company's business, gaining momentum by earning various certifications and researching specialized areas. After graduating, Lucas returned to the company and, a few years later, experienced a turning point at work when he met Anna, who would become his wife. Anna was kind to everyone and had a charming smile, and Lucas gradually fell in love with her. He discovered that she was also interested in him. Anna invited him on a date, marking the beginning of their relationship. A few years later, they happily married and built a loving family together. Throughout a life full of ups and downs, Lucas had completely forgotten about the school bullying. So, when Sarah approached him at the event, he was genuinely surprised by her anguished look. Anna, concerned, looked at him. After Lucas briefly explained the situation, she held his hand firmly and said, "No matter what anyone says, I know you are a wonderful person, Lucas. Let's stay confident and enjoy the company's anniversary party." "Yes, you're right," Lucas responded, encouraged by her supportive words. They decided to wait for the start of the party. After greeting everyone, the final buzz of activity subsided, and Lucas thought about resting until the event began. He moved toward the wall with Anna. "You're still here?" There were Sarah and her husband Marcos, whom Lucas had just encountered. Surprised to run into them so unexpectedly, he genuinely congratulated Marcos. "Marcos, I heard you're an exceptional employee and are receiving an award today. Congratulations." Instead of responding, Marcos merely looked Lucas up and down, as if assessing him. "Is this the factory worker from our school that you were talking about?" Marcos asked Sarah. "He has the audacity to attend the company's anniversary party despite being just a factory worker." Sarah returned his words with a bitter expression. Marcos, ignoring Lucas, curiously asked Sarah, "For a factory worker, he's wearing a decent suit. I'm an elitist, so I'm quite particular about suits." Even if he tries to wear a good one, it's ruined because he's a factory worker. It's really embarrassing to have someone like him as a former schoolmate. Sarah spat out her words, and Marcos inquired further. Embarrassing, yes. Imagine, he's been a factory worker since he left middle school. That's 20 years of just being a factory worker. Wow, that's really unbelievable, Sarah said, laughing and pointing at Lucas. Marcos stepped back as if finding it amusing. They looked at Lucas with obvious disdain and then turned their gaze to Anna beside him. So this factory worker, even though he dropped out of school, managed to get married. What does your wife do? Sarah asked Lucas. He answered honestly, she works in the same field as I do. We met at work. At that moment, Sarah and Marcos exchanged glances and began to laugh. A couple working in the field doing manual labor is the perfect match for an incompetent person like you, they mocked, not only ridiculing Lucas, but also his wife. Lucas couldn't understand how they could make such cruel remarks about his wife, a stranger to them. Stunned, he heard Sarah say, "But if I were you, I'd be very embarrassed to mention working in a factory. For someone of my elite status, it's unimaginable to live such a miserable life." Marcos agreed. Yes, for an elite like me, it's unimaginable. Please stop talking like this, Lucas retorted angrily at their cruel insults. But Sarah looked at him as if he were beneath her and turned her back, while Marcos dismissed him as if swatting away a fly. If we continue talking to you, people might think I'm a local worker like you. You should go somewhere else to speak with someone of your level. It might reflect poorly on me, Marcos said. Lucas was seething with anger at such behavior. Though enraged as an adult, he knew he couldn't let his emotions take over. Lucas tried to keep his composure, but Sarah seemed to revel in mocking his feelings, throwing out more scornful remarks. From now on, if you see us, stay away, okay? My husband is a Harvard-educated director, very different from someone as incompetent as you, she said, delighting in her verbal assault. Her words brought back painful memories of school, where Sarah had always acted with arrogance, believing there would be no repercussions. It felt like Lucas's patience had finally reached its limit. Well, your husband will be unemployed starting tomorrow, he said. Sarah was taken aback by Lucas's unexpected statement, her eyes widening as she stared at him blankly. She laughed, thinking it was a joke. Unemployed? What are you talking about? Have you lost your mind? Why would a factory worker like you have any influence over my husband? She mocked. That's because I am the president of the company, Lucas said calmly. For a moment, Sarah was stunned, but she quickly burst into loud laughter. President? Don't be ridiculous. You're saying that just because my husband is a Harvard-educated director and you want to one-up him. This is a lie, isn't it? It's not a lie, Lucas responded seriously, but Sarah clearly did not believe a word of it. Marcos, looking from one to the other, shrugged in disbelief, saying, "Married to a president, huh?" Lucas watched in anger as Marcos mocked him. A husband who invents such fantasies. You must be quite a wife, he sneered. As Lucas saw them walk away, he trembled with rage. The person who had tormented him in school was still treating him with disdain, even now as an adult. It wasn't just him they were mocking. They were ridiculing Anna and Lucas's workplace as well. He couldn't stay silent any longer and was about to confront them in fury when a gentle hand landed on his shoulder. Anna had heard everything. "It's not a good idea to reprimand them here," she said. Although Lucas was reluctant to back down, especially after they laughed at Anna, he was taken aback by her cunning smile. "I have a good idea," she said, and Lucas felt a sense of relief as the announcement of the party's start was made. They proceeded to their assigned seats. The event began promptly, with employees singing the company anthem. Out of the corner of his eye, Lucas saw Sarah and Marcos singing as well. After checking with the organizers, Lucas discovered that Marcos was indeed being honored as an exceptional employee. Along with other distinguished staff members, he was escorted to a special seat with his family. As Lucas wondered what was about to happen, he stifled a growing laugh. After the anthem, the entertainment portion of the event began. The performances included a magician and comedians, creating a festive atmosphere in the room. As the entertainment concluded, the host led the applause and announced the next segment. We will now hear from the President and CEO, Mr. Lucas Silva. Upon hearing these words, Lucas began to walk slowly up to the stage. He looked out at the gathered crowd, expressing his gratitude as everyone listened attentively. There were only two exceptions, Sarah and Marcos, who stared at him with their mouths agape, clearly shocked. Even from the stage, Lucas could see their lips moving, questioning why he was speaking and expressing disbelief that he was the president. Lucas continued with his speech as planned, proceeding to the award ceremony for exceptional employees. However, before that, he made an announcement. One of the honorees, Marcos, the director assigned to our overseas branch, will be terminated from his position effective today. The room fell into immediate silence as Lucas tried to continue with a smile. The host approached him, puzzled. "What's the reason for this?" he asked. It was at that moment that Sarah suddenly stood up and shouted, "This is a lie! This man was just a classmate of mine. He's just a factory worker." "Factory worker, why is he here? This must be some sort of joke, but it's in poor taste," Marcos added, laughing openly. The guests in the room began to murmur, creating a tense atmosphere. Lucas continued calmly. "Sarah mentioned earlier that working in a factory was insignificant. She also told me not to speak with her anymore, fearing that her own insignificance would affect her." "So what?" Sarah retorted, glaring at Lucas with her hands on her hips, still refusing to admit her mistake. "I work for this company, and I can't continue working with someone who is ashamed of our work," Lucas replied. "But he's an elite director." "Stop this charade now!" Sarah shouted. At that moment, Executive Director Ricardo rushed to the winner's seats, his face flushed with anger, and began yelling at Marcos, "Apologize to Mr. Silva right now!" However, Sarah and Marcos, still somewhat smirking, refused to believe Ricardo's words. "What's the problem, Ricardo? We owe nothing to a factory worker. He's just trying to scare us with lies about firing my husband." Ricardo, with a trembling voice, shot back, "Say the name of our company." "Silva Tech Corporation," Marcos answered. "Oh," Marcos murmured, suddenly realizing and turning pale. "His name is Lucas Silva. Could he really be the president of our company?" Upon hearing these words, Sarah froze in shock. Meanwhile, Lucas observed them and, realizing they had finally understood, spoke again. "It seems you're finally starting to believe me." With a pale face, Marcos was trembling and could barely stand. "Actually, Anna is the daughter of a prominent manufacturer who produces some of the leading semiconductor devices in the country. At the time I joined the company, it was one of her family's factories. It was still a mid-sized company handling various machinery productions, but 20 years ago, it developed its first proprietary product, a crater micrometer. Since then, the company has expanded with advances in electronic device technology. Now, in addition to semiconductor manufacturing, we're collaborating with foreign partners to develop even more precise testing systems. Combining the knowledge I gained in college with practical experience, I actively participated in product development after graduating, leading to several successful products. Because of this, I was transferred to the headquarters and promoted to Director of Electronic Hardware Development. That's where I met Anna. Even after our marriage, her family never brought up my past of attending night school. Instead, they welcomed me warmly as a diligent and enthusiastic young man. a rare trait in this era. Wanting to repay the family and the company that nurtured me, I committed myself to my work without distraction. So, 2 years ago, when Anna's father retired, I took over as president. As the truth seemed on the verge of collapsing, Ricardo, desperate, said, "You were abroad, so you might not have known directly, but at least check the information about the company you work for." Marcos, still pale, tried to stammer an apology, but Ricardo, his face red with anger, continued shouting, "You're so stuck on being an elitist from Harvard that you don't even know the face of our president. I'm ashamed I recommended someone like you as an exceptional employee." Ricardo then grabbed Marcos by the collar and dragged him over to Lucas. He forced Marcos to kneel and then joined him, apologizing. "I deeply apologize for my subordinate's disrespectful behavior. Please forgive us. I'm so sorry for my ignorance. It is inexcusable." Finally, Marcos knelt on his own, his face flushed and sweating. Anna, who had witnessed everything, turned to Lucas with a question. "Lucas, what will you do now that the truth is out for everyone to see, to avoid being accused of firing someone unilaterally?" "Yes, he is fired. Anyone who insults someone they've just met in such a manner definitely doesn't fit in our company," Lucas responded. Upon hearing this, Marcos fell silent and began sweating. Ricardo quickly added, "I apologize for my misjudgment which caused such inconvenience. I won't pursue defamation as he has already apologized. We'll terminate him and put an end to this confusion." When Lucas made these remarks, Ricardo seemed to breathe a sigh of relief, thinking the issue was resolved. However, the next voice to be heard was Sarah's. Watching everything in shock, her face flushed with anger, she shouted, "I don't care if you're the president or whatever. Why do you act so arrogantly?" Furious and nearly breathless, Sarah was met with Lucas's calm reply. "Before criticizing others, perhaps you should worry about your own situation. With your husband fired, you'll lose your income and won't be able to live luxuriously." Sarah, hearing these words, froze, her face showing a mix of shock and realization. Anna, glancing at her, whispered to Lucas, "Let's get these people out of here now." Lucas agreed. "Yes, you're right. It's a special anniversary party after all, and we need to ensure that everyone who came has a good time." Lucas then ushered them out of the venue. Once they were gone, the atmosphere in the room improved, and the party concluded successfully. Marcos repeatedly apologized, but Lucas chose to ignore him. A worker who belittles others because of Sarah's words could eventually cause workplace issues, leading to his dismissal. Marcos, who was struggling with loans and depending on his salary, faced severe financial problems. Sarah, who had always enjoyed a lavish lifestyle and apparently never saved much, soon found her finances in trouble. Unable to manage the large debts, the couple was forced to sell their house and car and move into a modest apartment. Marcos had difficulty finding new employment, losing both money and status, which led to conflicts in their now impoverished home. Eventually, they divorced and now live separately. Desperate for a job, Marcos eventually found work as a factory laborer, spending his days standing at a conveyor belt, assembling machines in a repetitive process. Meanwhile, Sarah became the subject of local gossip for her treatment of Lucas. Abandoned even by her family, she now lives alone, struggling to pay for her meals. Her once valued beauty has faded, and she barely manages to support herself with night jobs. As for Lucas and Anna, they continue to live happily. Their focus on developing exceptional employees has led to stable and growing performance for the company, which in turn has helped the business thrive. Lucas now aims to fulfill the hopes of the younger generation. They have improved educational programs and employee training systems, leading to the development of an innovative new product. This product is anticipated to be a significant advancement for the company, but it's not just a new product that has emerged. Lucas and Anna have also welcomed a beautiful daughter into their family. Anna's family is overjoyed and adores the new addition. "I'm so glad to have met you. I'm truly happy," Lucas told Anna. "I am too. When I graduated from elementary school, I thought my life was over. But by never giving up on my potential and relentlessly seeking a path, I was helped by many, and now I lead such a happy life. I want to continue delivering products that make the world a better place as a way of giving back," Anna replied. With this determination in his heart, Lucas smiled at his precious family. Years had passed since the incident at the company party, and Lucas continued to elevate Silvertech to new heights. He implemented policies of inclusion and respect in the workplace, ensuring that all employees were valued regardless of their position. He also established a mentorship program for young professionals, helping them develop their skills and achieve their goals. One day, while Lucas was reviewing quarterly reports in his office when Anna entered with a smile. "Do you have a minute?" she asked. "Of course, always for you," Lucas replied, setting aside the papers. Anna approached and took his hand. "Do you remember when we started the company, how everything seemed so uncertain?" she asked. "Yes, I remember. So many sleepless nights," Lucas said with a smile. "But look at where we are now. All of this was possible because of your determination and vision. You turned a small company into a technology giant," Anna said proudly. "I couldn't have done it without you, Anna. Your support, your strength, you're the reason for our success. And our family, our daughter, who brings so much joy into our lives," Lucas replied, smiling. "Yes, our little Maria, she's our greatest gift," agreed Anna. As they were talking, a young employee knocked on the door. "Excuse me, Mr. Silva. Sorry to interrupt, but there's someone here to see you, and they say it's important." "Who is it?" Lucas asked, curious. "He says his name is Marcos, and that he used to work here," the employee replied. Lucas and Anna exchanged surprised glances. "Please bring him in," said Lucas. Marcos entered the office looking worn out and tired. "Lucas, Anna, thank you for seeing me," he said nervously. "What brings you here?" Lucas asked, trying to hide his surprise. "I wanted to sincerely apologize for the..." Lucas was reviewing quarterly reports in his office when Anna walked in with a smile. "Do you have a minute?" she asked. "Of course, always for you," Lucas replied, putting the papers aside. Anna came closer and took his hand. "Do you remember when we started the company and how uncertain everything felt?" she asked. "Yes, I remember. So many sleepless nights," Lucas said with a smile. "But look at where we are now. All of this happened because of your determination and vision. You turned a small company into a technology giant," Anna said with pride in her voice. "I couldn't have done it without you, Anna. Your support and strength are the reasons for our success. And our family, especially our daughter, who brings so much joy to our lives," Lucas said with a smile. "Yes, our little Maria. She's our greatest gift," Anna agreed. Just then, a young employee knocked on the door. "Excuse me, Mr. Silva, sorry to interrupt, but someone is here to see you and says it's important." "Who is it?" Lucas asked, curious. "He says his name is Marcos and that he used to work here," the employee replied. Lucas and Anna exchanged surprised glances. "Please bring him in," Lucas said. Marcos entered the office looking worn and tired. "Lucas, Anna, thank you for seeing me," he said nervously. "What brings you here?" Lucas asked, trying to hide his surprise. "I wanted to sincerely apologize for the things I said and did at that party. My life has changed a lot since then, and I've realized how arrogant and cruel I was. I lost everything, my wife, my home. I'm trying to start over, but it's difficult," Marcos said with tears in his eyes. Lucas looked at Anna, who nodded. "Marcos, life has a way of teaching us tough lessons. What's important is that we learn from them. "If you're willing to change, maybe we can help," Lucas said. "Would you really do that for me, even after everything?" Marcos asked, incredulous. "Yes, because everyone deserves a second chance. Let's see what we can do to help you get back on your feet," Lucas said, extending his hand. Marcos shook Lucas's hand, grateful. "Thank you, Lucas. I will prove that I'm worthy of this opportunity." Lucas and Anna watched as Marcos left the office, feeling a mix of relief and hope. "You did the right thing," Anna said, smiling at her husband. "I hope so." "Everyone deserves a chance at redemption," Lucas replied. From that moment on, Lucas and Anna continued to build a company based on respect, inclusion, and opportunities for everyone. The story of Lucas and Marcos became an example of how humility, forgiveness, and determination can transform lives. The company thrived, launching innovative new products that revolutionized the industry. Lucas and Anna became known not only for their business success, but also for their commitment to making a positive impact. Lucas, now older and wiser, often reflected on his journey from a young factory worker to the president of a technology company. He had overcome numerous challenges, but his greatest source of pride was knowing that his story inspired others to persevere and strive for a better future. With Anna by his side and their daughter growing up in a loving and respectful environment, Lucas felt he had fulfilled his purpose. He had not only transformed his own life, but had also positively impacted many others, creating a legacy that would last for generations. "Let's continue making a difference, Anna. For us, for Maria, and for everyone we encounter," Lucas said, gazing into the distance. "Yes, Lucas, together we can achieve anything," Anna replied, holding his hand. With this renewed determination, Lucas and Anna continued their journey, always believing in the power of change, kindness, and hope. Thank you for joining us today and for watching this inspiring journey from humble beginnings to incredible achievements. We hope you found valuable lessons in the story of Lucas and Anna and how perseverance, kindness, and dedication can make a lasting impact. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Please share in the comments what you learned from today's content and how it resonated with you. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more uplifting and motivational stories. Your support means a lot to us and helps us continue bringing you content that inspires and empowers. See you in the next video.